The Six Nations is over. The biggest opportunity to impress Lions coach Andy Farrell is now done and dusted. Who up their chances? Who dropped down the pecking order? In this video, I'll give you my Lions 15 based solely on performances over this year's Six Nations Championship. Now, a couple of themes really throughout is that very few people, I would say, absolutely cemented their position. I'd say pre-tournament there were maybe some favourites for certain shirts, but I don't think it played out that way. And where the outstanding performances came, there were a lot of people in those same positions. So again, I would say a lot of these selections are possibly less clear following the tournament than they were beforehand. Okay, let's get into it. We start, as always, with number one, the loosehead position. And we had contenders in Sutherland, Thomas and Smith, but it really came down to Porter, Genge or Schumann for this shirt, and my opinion changed throughout the championship for this one. I started off with Andrew Porter, moved on to Ellis Genge, and then Schumann came strong at the end, but across the whole championship I think Ellis Genge takes this one for me. His scrummaging has come on, his consistency, he's always going to be that aggressive force, but his carrying as well. I thought he had a really good, strong tournament. The England scrum went well throughout. So it's Ellis Genge at loosehead. Onto hooker, and Kelleher started well. Jamie George came in later in the championship, and much later than that, Dowie Lake. Luke Cowan-Dickey came through strong as well, but Dan Sheehan's a class above. His impact in games is unmatched, and I think he is definitely nailed on as the starting hooker for the Lions at the moment. Tight head, Will Griff-John made a late charge for this one, but one good game won't make it for that. Fagerson grew throughout the championship and got stronger towards the end. Finlay Bealham had a very solid outing. Ty Furlong back off the bench, but too late for him based on this selection. It's definitely for me Will Stewart. He had an outstanding tournament. England scrum, as I just mentioned, was probably the best in the tournament throughout, and he had some really core contributions with ball in hand as well. That fancy footwork does not go unnoticed, and a try in the final game. Will Stewart in the tight head shirt. Into the second row, and we have people like Ryan and Jenkins and McCarthy, Martin and Chesham, but I'm going to go with Itoje and Ty Burn. These were my picks from the very first week, and they've maintained throughout. Both really consistent performances. Absolute nauseas at the breakdown, the pair of them. They can carry, they can tackle, their line-out works great. They can do it all, to be honest. I think Ollie Chesham, maybe if he had had more game time, his form was really excellent. I think Joe McCarthy as well, if he could have had a bit more game time and discipline, then he might have come into reckoning. But for me, it's Itoje and Burn. The ever competitive back row slots. In the next number 6 jersey, we had Fagerson, Conan and Ritchie as well for Scotland. I thought had a really good tournament. Such a nose at the breakdown, but for me, Tom Curry was outstanding. Both sides of the ball, his carrying, his turnover work, he was absolutely phenomenal throughout the tournament. And the only downside to him was he seemed to be picking up niggles all the time. But I still think at his best, he is the absolute man in that number 6 shirt. Into the ever-crowded option at open side, and Henry Pollock made a late charge, but obviously far too late for him. It's between Darge, Van der Fleer, Ben Earl, Ben Curry, Jack Morgan. So many really phenomenal contenders. Darge, I thought, started the tournament really well, as did Van der Fleer. But maybe the English guys came through later. Ben Curry did brilliantly well off the bench and then starting in the final game. Jack Morgan was brilliant throughout, but was really quiet in that game against England. Maybe just one too far for him. But I'm going to stick with Jack Morgan. I think his ability in a losing team, in a team that was struggling, to still be consistently outstanding, gets the jersey for me, and I can't wait to see him in a more competitive team. Number 8, and there were contenders in Willis, Dempsey, Faletau with a late charge, but Caelan Doris is definitely the man. His consistency of getting over the gain line when he carries the ball, his consistency of being a nose at the breakdown, making things so difficult for the opposition, just carries it through for me. Caelan Doris at number 8. Scrum half, Mitchell, Williams, and actually Ben White was really brilliant in the last game as well. Really tough to choose between those three, I would say, but Gibson Park is a cut above. His speed of ball his ability to play at tempo is what's going to make the difference. And he had some really great kicking and defensive work as well this tournament. Ireland struggled at times towards the end of this tournament, but he was always outstanding. Fly half, and there's Smith, Crowley, George Ford with a late burst. There's a lot of people, well, a few people I should say, some journalists making a solid case for George Ford to be on the Lions tour this summer. Never been a Lion, George Ford, but he is the one, or alongside Russell, with real experience. 99 test caps. I can't pick him for my team for this. Prendergast faded away a little bit towards the end of the tournament, and Russell grew throughout. I thought he finished really strong, and he is my fly half in this team. The left wing slot really comes down to James Lowe versus Duhan van der Merwe. Ellis Mees, Slytome, a few other contenders in there, but none of them would compare to these two. And it is really tight. I see both these guys as out and out left wingers. So you have to pick one. And I think for consistency throughout the tournament, van der Merwe gets it. Lowe had an injury as well, which just held him back a little bit. Van der Merwe's absolutely grease lightning ability to beat a defender, and his newfound ability to put others into space as well. He gets the left wing shirt for me. Number 12, and there weren't a huge number of contenders for me in this one. Dingwall, Ben Thomas did well for Wales when he got in there. Slade was okay and then ended up getting dropped. I thought Jordan for Scotland had a really strong tournament and grew throughout as well. But even though he had a poor game against the French and was on the bench in the final game, Bundy Aki across the tournament is still the best number 12 for me. Outside centre, contenders in Llewellyn, Ringrose, Ollie Lawrence, now no longer a contender after his injury, but Hugh Jones, his ability to break the line, his ability to put others into space, his ability to defend really well as well, gets the number 13 jersey. Right wing, and this is a tough one because there's some great players in that right wing slot. Darcy Graham had a great end to the tournament. Mac Hansen's a fantastic player, one of my absolute favourites, but he didn't play a lot in this tournament. Struggled with injuries at times, and I thought in the final game against Italy, he just looked a bit out of sorts. Rowe for Scotland, Rogers for Wales, both did well, but for me, Tommy Freeman scored in every single game, brilliant in the air. Defensively, a couple of moments there where he wasn't the best, but overall, his ability to get on the ball, to make ground whenever he carries, his footwork, his aerial work, he gets the number 14 jersey. On to fullback, and this is an absolute shootout between Keenan and Kinghorn. And again, Keenan is still such an unbelievably underrated player. But Kinghorn came through this tournament and got stronger and stronger towards the end, and his best game probably saved till last. His ability to make a break, his ability to find other people, his kicking game, he's strong in the air. I just think he is marginally ahead of Keenan in this race. So it's Blair Kinghorn at 15 for me. So there we have it. That's my team. 5 Irish, 5 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman. What do you think? Do you think that would be the team that Andy Farrell's picks? I doubt it. There's certainly going to be some changes. Some people who didn't even play in the Six Nations that will come into contention. But it was a fun exercise nonetheless. But let me know in the comments down below. Let me know one name of a player that I didn't pick that you definitely would have, and you think it's a travesty that they were left out. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind. It helps other people find it, and you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next, and don't forget to get out and play.